Shalom, all praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushua, Ba'ashem Harakakadash, double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Most Honor, rule well, and shalom to the brothers and the wax in sincerity and truth, pushing this word to the four corners. Yeah, just wanted to talk on this, ceasefire that was meant to have happened between, the state of Israel and Hezbollah. And it was worked out like a day ago, and within over the course of that day and today, it's basically been compromised already, to where both sides are pointing fingers at the other, saying, look what happened. These guys have breached it. And yeah, there was a huge fuss when they announced it, but then it's similar with what happened in Gaza as well, where there was the what you call it, the ceasefire for a period of time, but then afterwards they went, oh damn, but afterwards then I think it's when you had so-called aid workers getting wigged, where it was like British and American nationals, I think a Canadian national as well, were getting wigged, when they went to be bringing in humanitarian aid and whatnot. So it's like with these ceasefires, it seemed would think like, oh, maybe you're gonna have some peace, you're gonna have some rest, you're gonna have some ease, and as people around the world thinking maybe it will just be like, okay, yeah, we might be able to put a cap, a lid on World War III popping off, but then in reality, how's it progressing? How's it actually moving forward? And ain't moving forward for shit. Like so I read this. Some Reuters says Israel and Hezbollah trade accusations of ceasefire violations. And it says two sides trade accusations the day after deal went into effect. Israel tank fire and airstrike hit South Lebanon. Biden to focus on Gaza. Israel keeps up strikes on the enclave. The Israeli military said its air force struck a facility used by Hezbollah to store mid-range rockets in southern Lebanon on Thursday, after both sides accused each other of breaching a ceasefire that aims to halt over a year of fighting. And yeah, it's only really intensified again recently. But it's these conflicts are back and forth, and it's really a matter of for Bibi, Netanyahu, and that he's stirring a pot to keep the conflict going, and that ties into prophecy, and it's because they've got the back end of the US, that they kind of have the leeway to just spiral out and do whatever they desire. So it says Israel said it opened fire on Thursday towards what is called suspects, with vehicles arriving at several areas in the southern zone, saying it was a breach of the truce with Iran-backed armed group Hezbollah, which came into effect on Wednesday. So it said Hezbollah lawmaker Hassan Fadla Allah in turn accused Israel of violating the deal. The Israeli enemy is attacking those returning to the border villages, Fadla Allah told reporters, adding there are violations today by Israel, even in this form. The Lebanese army later accused Israel of violating the ceasefire several times on Wednesday and Thursday. So yeah, it's meant to be a ceasefire, but men are lacing rockets and doing airstrikes. So like, it's it's still continuing, and it really it's with these conflicts, everyone's desirous of, well, seemingly around the globe are desirous of peace, but then it's what those in power who actually hold sway politically, they if they desire the conflict to go on, it will go on. You had from from the jump, from the beginning, well, even say from the beginning, just really, as far as my awareness of it was, when I was back in the world in the 2000s, then it was just the Iraq War, where it kind of became evident that these wars are just running, and it's all about money, military industrial complex, like whole, forms of merchandise are basically built off the back of what do you call it, of these military conflicts. And that shit run like whether people, because I remember seeing like outside, it was here in the UK outside Parliament. You had people from when the Iraq War kicked off, basically protesting in tents. Like you had a whole tent city outside of Parliament protesting against it. And them man didn't leave for like 6-7 years. Them man didn't leave for fucking ages until the war ended. Because why? It's the lawmakers, as they call them, the MPs or whatever. These guys they're not beholden to, as much as they call it, democracy, blah blah blah. They're not beholden to, these average, any average chump, you just in the country, to tell them no, we don't want more. These guys are doing the bidding of those who hold sway, chiefly financially, where that's the means of basically you debt nations, and then you gain the reins of control over them, and then you got there was a long process over time, over decades, over centuries, where these different nations are all indebted, and then those that hold sway, they have leverage over those that are so-called in charge of these nations. These guys that get voted in, they don't just have liberty to do whatever they desire. They can try to do that, but then if it doesn't work out, well, in the long term, it won't really work out, man. They can get taken the fuck out. And yeah, this war is something that's desirous, because why? It's bringing in, pushing forward, the desires of what they want to gain through, what's it called? Desires of what they want to gain through these conflicts, this chaos, order ab chaos, the three world wars, where with this third one they're trying to establish a different form of society, and that's why you have these conflicts popping off, and despite people being against it, despite it being like people are looking at World War Three, oh you're gonna be drafted, you're gonna be conscripted, it's getting fucked up out there. They don't have a say. And that's really like a lot of things that go down within society. People are like, oh, why are these laws being passed? Why blah, blah, blah. I voted someone in because I wanted X, Y, Z, but I didn't get that. They're wondering why. But it's why. It's because, oh yeah, you men are going to have to hold the L. As much as you would, as they might want whatever they want, it's they have no say in it. You got people losing their mind over Trump getting back, back into the Oval Office. But then, he's an excellent tool that can be used to push things forward. It's just like with, under Biden, you got that immense inflation. You got various laws passed related to like C-19, the pandemic and whatnot, and the ability to kind of like suspend, the function of society. Those things have been put in to where they can be utilized without even a head even turning. So what does it say? It says the ceasefire deal stipulates that unauthorized military facilities south of the Litani River should be dismantled, but does not mention military facilities north of the river. Early Israeli tank fire hit 5 towns, some agricultural fields in southern Lebanon. State media and Lebanese security sources saying at least 2 people were wounded. All the areas lie within 2 kilometers of the blue line demarking the border between Lebanon and Israel, in an area the Israeli military has announced as a no-go zone along the border, even after the deal was agreed. The Israeli military said in a statement it had identified several suspicious activities that posed a threat and breached conditions of the ceasefire agreement. So yes, it's as far as with this conflict, is something that until there's a significant reduction in how many of those Palestinians, Lebanese, etc. The people around. Unless there's a significant reduction, then there ain't gonna be there ain't gonna be an end to it. That's the that's the end goal. Um, and Lebanon's just one of the spots where it's popping off. Like I said, it's like the key ones in Gaza. And then with Trump was the one that acknowledged Jerusalem as the embassy, the embassy in America of the US acknowledged Jerusalem as a capital, and was basically down with Gaza being the West Bank being developed. So with him coming back into office, all that energy's basically there. This is why these guys are pushing even further. Because I remember it was the same thing with, so you got Biden in, and he's trying to broker a ceasefire. It was the same thing with what the hell was that guy's name? Obama. With Obama, but just before he left and Trump got in for the first time, he did the nuclear deal with Iran, the Iranian nuclear deal, where they were meant to stop refining uranium. But then that was a complete and total failure, because I think a matter of, like, after Trump got in and then slapped sanctions on them again, I think it was a matter of months before they kicked all the inspectors out. Then them man were just doing what they were doing. So the conflicts built up more, and it's for what? I'll read two things. First Thessalonians 5:1, it says, "But of the times and seasons, brethren, you have no need that I write unto you. For yourselves know perfectly that the day of the Lord so cometh as a thief in the night. For when they shall say peace and safety, then sudden destruction cometh upon them, as travail upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape. Be ye, brethren, are not in darkness, that they should overtake you as a thief." But yeah, as it says, when they say peace and safety, then sudden destruction, thinking, there'll be an end to the conflict, thinking there'll be, a truce, a peace brokered, and you might get for a little while, but then it's just like with Ukraine, where people saying it's going to be over quick, and it's been dragged out, and a big aspect of how it's been dragged out is what is the West basically supplying and influencing Ukraine's defense. Ukraine's only been able to hold on. Why? It's because billions upon billions of money, equipment, supplies, training and whatnot, all kinds of reinforcements have been going to Ukraine from America, from EU, NATO, these Western countries. They've all been piling all that money into it, and then with doing so with that, that's it's sustained them. But that's the thing is it's not even gonna go how's desired, because why? It comes down to prophecy. That's the same thing with the Middle East. It's like thinking there's gonna be peace, you don't know what's going on. The Middle East, that Valley of Decision, all the heathen are being drawn in, and you can see it's just a never-ending conflict. Then sudden destruction cometh upon them, as travail upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape. But ye, brethren, are not in darkness, that day should overtake you as a thief. And yeah, that's the thing. When we're not in darkness, we can see it's why, because we have the prophecies to know that one, you need MOTB, that mark, that Kuragma, basically instated, and then World War III is gonna pop off, man, and it's gonna end with nukes. Everyone's been the new missile, the Oreshnik. That's what's been the hot topic in in the Ukraine conflict, because they use it. It's what Biden gave the green light for using US missiles, and then was it Keir Starmer gave the green light for using UK missiles, and they shot them into Russia. You know, Russia was like, "Oh, we found the debris." Okay, then he let rip the new rocket. And everyone's like, "Oh shit!" And it's now ramped up again. That piece that was meant to be there got smashed like a plate, man. Because why? You know, this further. There's more for it to do. And then the key of it as well is Jeremiah 49:20. It says, "Therefore, hear the counsel of the Lord Yahweh, that you have taken against Edom, and his purposes that you have purposed against the inhabitants of Teman. Surely the least of the flock shall draw them out. Surely he will make their habitations desolate with them." And yeah, that least of the flock. What is that state of Israel? Those guys are that small nation. And that's, people ask, like, why is it that the US is involved in this? Why is our country having to, why are people getting into fisticuffs, on the streets of London, in unis in America, over what's going on in the Middle East? But then why? It's because that's, it's been, Spirit's been put on them to basically draw everyone in, to be the center of that conflict. And the way this, people are even saying, like, oh, why did Kamala lose the election? And saying, oh, it's because they were back in Israel, and people really aren't down with what's going on with the Palestinians and what the state of Israel's doing to them. But these are the things that have now become a big focal point, in the world, to where everyone's looking at. And it was, it's been like that for a minute. But then it's intensified yet again. And, it's going to remain that focal point, because why? That's the spot, man. That's where it's been designated to draw everyone in, man. But yeah, I'll leave it there. Shalom.